Hello, hello. Well, today a special treat. I have my friend Bella Bablumia who is going to interview me. So let's go, Bella.
Hi, Liana. Thank you so much for inviting me. I adore having conversations with you on topics of sexuality, and today specifically, and especially because I really want to delve into the new program, or actually the program that you recently launched. You've already had, um, one group that just graduated, and you're about to launch
hmm
the new program. And I really wanted to kind of understand a little more about the program, understand why you're doing it, and how people can benefit from it. So my first question, well, first of all, for those of you that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and why you do what you do?
Okay, okay, I will do that. And then I want you to tell about who you are, so everybody knows who you are as well.
Absolutely.
We've known each other for a long time. Actually, starting off talking a lot about sexuality and working with women, and when Bella was living in Rio de Janeiro, and now she's in Miami. We're still connected and still doing similar kind of work. And I am a sex and relationship and sexual wellness specialist and coach is what I'm calling myself these days, because I think it's really important to understand that sexuality is about wellness. Sexuality is very important. The sexual energy that we all have within our bodies is about maintaining wellness of our lives, of every aspect of our life. So
Absolutely.
I decided, and I work with people all over the world. I do workshops, I do one-on-one, I do talks as well. I do, of course, I have this YouTube channel where I'm offering a YouTube video every week talking about something around sexuality. Recently, over the last number of months, I've decided to really focus on doing a program for men. I have been focused on women for a long time, and women are complaining a lot, also needing their men to step up more. So I realized there was a big gap there, and it is something that I've always wanted to do more work on. And I myself have, I think I have a more in-depth connection with men, just because my husband, my first husband, my ex-husband of 23 years, came out as bisexual, and then we started to explore in threesomes with men. So there were many men that came through our lives at that point, and I got to know men at a level that I never imagined. Initially thinking, all men want is sex, and men, you have to be careful because men are just, they're gonna. I grew up with some weird ideas about men. Men hiding behind bushes are gonna attack
We
you if
all
you
do,
don't be
right?
careful. Yeah, exactly. Just all these weird, awesome, actually awful ideas about men, and so I was nervous at first to get involved with these kind of threesome ideas with other men, but found out like, hey, men are amazing human beings who have deep emotional feelings like women, who are not all sitting just waiting to have sex at any time. They are complex just like women, and they are as confused as women about themselves sexually
Absolutely.
and about women. So,
Yeah.
um,
I love
yeah.
that you say that. Let me just I just it's funny because I'm from Armenia originally. Like, let me introduce myself because I think it makes sense
Yeah.
what I'm going to share. I'm from Armenia originally. I, grew up in the ex-Soviet Armenia, like a completely different world. And then I somehow found myself in US and then Brazil, and that's where we met. And it's interesting. I just remember one of like a very clear memory I have of me. I came to the US when I was 14, and I was really shy. I mean, in Armenia, like we, as women, we're not supposed to look at men in the eye. We're supposed to like, it's changed
Mm,
now, but when I grew up, it
yeah.
was like very, very like you had to be very modest, right? Otherwise, like you're asking for it. Like that's the kind of a upbringing I grew up with. And I remember like in junior or high school, walking down the hallway and there were like all these men and I was like all shy and afraid. And then, one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change this. Like this is ridiculous. Like, why am I being so shy? And I consciously started just looking up, and I picked the most good looking guys, and I just started to like just look up, look straight in the guy's eye, and say hello. Like that was my experiment. And I started doing that. And it hit me like when I was doing that, that the most good looking guys sometimes are the ones that are the most afraid and just as shy. And they're actually like so excited that you're talking to them. So yeah, I had a lot of misperceptions. That was like my first one. And it just like opened the door to possibility of getting to know the opposite sex better in at a deeper
Hmm.
level. And I think when we create this like lack of communication and lack of learning about each other and what we need respectively, both in communication as well as in sexuality, as we're going to talk about, we miss out a lot, because we assume things that are not true. And so
Hmm.
currently I'm also, I do work with sexuality, but within the wellness model. I'm a very like integrative health and wellness coach, and I studied psychology, nutrition, personal training, all of these things. But sexuality to me has become kind of a very central piece of what I do. And the whole approach that I teach is about pleasurable wellness, because I found that if you don't have pleasure, uh,
Hmm.
none of it really works, right? But when you're enjoying everything
Absolutely.
you do is, and so I really appreciate what you do, because you really allow us to have more pleasure, and you allow us to understand how our bodies work, understand how sexuality works, and improve our relationships. So my question to you is, it's like we don't know very much about sex at all, right? Where do we learn about sex? We learn, maybe we have a sex ed class at best, and then we have
Yeah.
pornography, which is a complete misrepresentation of the actual reality at best, right? So I feel like you are creating that space where we can learn safely about sexuality. Is that your motivation? Like, why did you decide to bring men into this as well? Why do you think they need to learn about this?
Well, I think there are a lot of programs and a lot of help is happening right now for women. There are a lot of women out there and men as well, but a lot of women that are offering programs for women to tap deeper into their bodies, to learn about self-pleasure, not about masturbation necessarily, but just pleasure of their bodies, to step stronger into their confidence in revealing what they really desire. And there's just so much happening for women. And I know because I'm still in that world as well. And
Yeah,
that's how I was able to develop my own sexual awakening. But I don't see as much information, as much available for men. It is coming up. There are some men now that I'm in that, diving into that field more. I see, oh, these men are talking about this and these men are talking about that, but they're not as evident and prominent. And so um men want to be with women, women want to be with men. And I started to hear women saying things like, women who are teaching around sexuality, who are awakened women, are saying things like, where are all the good men out there? Where are all the good men out there? And where are all the conscious men,
right,
and I just thought, well, okay, just a second. This is one. I know it's not really fair because now you're judging every man out there. But
right.
secondly, it's like, well, maybe they're just not finding men who have been able to elevate, step up to the level where women are starting to go now. And women need to connect to men who are ready to take them on a journey, on a ride. And a lot of men are still in that place of their egos being very big in the sense of not thinking that they need to do anything around their sexuality. This is connected to a belief around men and sexuality. And that's one thing that, well, there's one big aspect that I work on in the program, really breaking down these beliefs that men hold on to about
Right.
sexuality. This one being that, and I see this all the time, where men have been taught that they just know about sex. They don't need to know anything.
Of course.
They understand sex. The man knows. And the woman is taught that, well, he knows, just wait for him. He's going to lead. You just wait till he's ready to make the step, and he knows exactly what's going to happen, which is absolute bullshit
Formula for
because
failure.
Formula for equals failure. He doesn't know anything about the feminine body being. I mean, he knows erection and he knows, men are trying to figure it out, and women are not being able, have not been able to tap into their own pleasure because now they're waiting for a man who doesn't really know anything about what they need, what he needs, what the
Right.
relationship needs. So that's a big reason why
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, and it also changes the dynamic, right? Like when, especially in long-term relationships, if you start from that place and then you don't really honor the fact that you might not know some certain things, then the woman starts complaining and the man every time like shuts down, and then the dynamic is just not conducive to learning. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think we definitely need to change that somehow. So I'm really, really appreciating this program you're putting out there. What are some of the other things, like you said about breaking down the beliefs, right? And what are some of the other
Hmm.
things that you are going to be teaching?
Well, it's a 6 week program, first of all, six master classes. So each week there's a master class, and then there's also a Q&A that we happen to have in the week. So there's about 3 hours of time that we're together during the week. And in between, there are exercises that I'm giving the men to work on. So we have the master class, they're given the exercises, they work on them, then we come to the Q&A, and they're able to talk about them, share, and ask, and find out more information if they need. So we dive into, I have this formula that is me, you, us. So what men have not been doing is really connecting to themselves. So we start with the me, really deeply going into the connection with their own body. There tends to be a
Amazing.
disconnect between the brain and the penis, you know,
Yep.
that, and women have the same thing, the disconnect. So it's bringing in different techniques that bring in that connection with their entire body, a very holistic approach. Um, the connection of breathing, the connection of touching, the connection of movement, all of these things that are so important to understanding your body, to tap into your body, to feel your own body first. If you don't feel your body, if you don't have a connection, a deep connection with your body, you don't really know what your desire is, because that's ultimately where we want to connect to. Like, what is the desire that's leading you here? How are you going to
Yeah.
move forward in then connecting with the you, me, you, with the partner?
Well,
So it's a
before
lot of
you
work
go in
in,
there,
yeah,
yeah, before you go there, like I mean that I see this a lot, right? It's like especially in Western culture, and like I'm in the U.S. and you're from Canada originally, right? I think we learn to disconnect from our body because there's like that the goals and the everything we need to achieve in life and
all
the
external,
perfectionism,
external,
everything
external. Yeah,
external. And sex becomes external too, so it's about performance. It becomes about performance, and that is very dissatisfying for the men think they're having a good time, but like they have no idea like what's what how much more they can have if they make it about the whole body, right? And women, I'm not
exactly.
even gonna like, yeah, you'll talk about that, right? Like
Well,
performance
if
is
you
not what we're looking for.
if I mean, of course, both men and women need to work on all of these things. But if you have
Right.
men, if women are working on it, you also need men that are able to step up to holding the space for these women who are sexually awakened and coming alive. You need men that are going to be there to hold the space. And in order to do
Yeah,
that, they have to be tuned in and tapped into themselves, and understand the
absolutely.
dynamics. So we work on the dynamics between masculine, feminine energies, talking a lot about the wounded masculine and feminine, and then going into, okay, this is a lot of where we've been sitting, but we can also move over to this area, which is a divine masculine, an authentic masculine or feminine. And what are those kinds of
Hmm.
traits? So we work a lot on that, and they see, like, I actually have charts and things prepared so that they can see the differences that exist, and um, look for themselves, look deeper within themselves. Well, where am I sitting too heavily on a wounded masculine? How can I move myself to a more divine masculine space, more authentic masculine space, right? Um, and then understanding, we talk a lot about the feminine energy as well. Like, what is that all about? Which is very different than the masculine. And
Right.
and just to make it clear, like, we all have both masculine and feminine energies, but about 85% of people associate with one essence or the other. And
Right.
most men are 85% of men are associated with like more of the masculine essence, and the women of feminine essence. So I'm kind of working with mostly men that are in that sort of masculine essence, who want to learn to step deeper into that power that they hold in that more divine element, so that they
Yeah.
can then we talk about how do you then hold that space for the feminine, because as they, and this is what men don't understand, is as they drop deeper and deeper into that authentic divine kind of masculine, women can easily drop into their feminine. Women are waiting for that.
I absolutely love that because it's, so you know what happens is like we've kind of made men lose their masculinity a little bit, right? In our ways of trying to make everyone equal, and which there's benefits to that. But when I think we've taken away the masculinity from men a little bit by saying that they need to be more respectful and this and that. And I think they, try to hold back their power in certain aspects. So, but that's because the power that's been used in the patriarchal world has been very aggressive and very disrespectful of the feminine. So I love that you're bringing the divine power of the masculine, because it's
Hmm.
it's it's powerful, but it's also very respectful of the feminine energy. And I think that almost like doesn't fit into the mindset of the modern men and women, I think, right? Like, how do you
Hmm.
maintain that powerful masculinity, but at the same time, it's divine. So it really is about respect and honor. Can you kind of talk about those two polarities? Because I think they're still very difficult for people to understand.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, well, first of all, you were talking about how men have not have kind of been restricted from being able to step into that masculine, and we have been demasculizing men for sure. Um, because in the past, or it still exists, this concept of masculine energy was connected to aggression, to
Aggression, right, like,
greed, to over a power, yes, but a power that was not in a loving manner. When you go
right.
into like the way like, I just like shift the connotations of the words and from the wounded to the divine. So for example, aggressive wounded could be assertive divine, right? Because you
Yeah,
don't want to lose that essence of that powerful deep core that exists within a man. But it can all be channeled through love, right? And you need that assertion. We need that all within ourselves, all of us. We all need
yeah,
that masculine energy to be more assertive, but not aggressive, which it has been in the past, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
all of those traits we shift into ways that how can you express these in a more loving way? Because that's ultimately, where we want to go. We want to love each other more. We want to have more connection with each other. We want to feel that we can and this other aspect I talk about, like divine or authentic, because I want to teach the men to step deeper into their own authenticity. And their authenticity is not a place of hatred and aggression. It is of love and wanting to express who they really truly are, and wanting to be able to say and communicate with their partner what they really truly desire, right? So it's complex, and there's a lot of
It is.
elements that we talk about in the program, and then I give them specific exercises to work on tapping into that masculine, because within that divine masculine there's also this kind of light divine masculine, and then there's the dark divine masculine. So we go into those different elements as well, and looking at them as traits that are much more connected to love, much more connected to, um, well, divinity, to spirit, to their
Right,
own spirit, and to the spirit of the relationship.
exactly. And that doesn't take away from sex being all it can be, right, on a physical level. I
Well,
I
it
think a lot of
blows
people
it.
like it's like people think like, oh, if I get into that loving divine mode, like I'm not actually gonna have as good of a time, right?
Well, yeah, and
That's a
that's why I say we go into the dark masculine, because
yeah,
when when you connect with a woman as a man, women need to be, most women are receptive, kind of, they want to feel different things first. They need to have a lot of foreplay to warm up, to get to, they want to trust you, they want to feel really safe around you. So you have to be in that light masculine to offer that kind of a place. But women, when it comes at, once they get comfortable, once they get trusted, and they can drop into their feminine energy, then they want to be taken, they want to be able to surrender fully their body, to be taken on an incredible journey of some sort, sexual journey. And women's bodies are very powerful, and can take a lot of you know a
I
lot of connection, a lot of deep connection and powerful,
yeah,
penetration, let's say. And that's what we work, like, how can you be that man that's penetrating, not just in the sexual, but in your life, like
yeah,
you're penetrating through your entire body. You can just feel, like, I can just feel my
yeah.
whole body gets like tingles with the power that comes with that.
I love that because like, yeah, we need to bring those two into focus, right? It's not that if you're loving and caring, then the sex has to be all like only romantic and very no, it still can be and actually is even enhanced, right? If you really understand that those actually come together, and there's place for both in different kind of in the whole dynamic that happens during the sexual act, which I'm sure you go into. But you also said that you teach exercises, right? This is also very unusual in today's world, right? Because we think that we know everything. So what's
Mhm.
exercise, right? And so like what why do we need to exercise, right? Like how do we exercise? So what are the exercise? Like maybe give us like an
Imagine
example.
sex exercises to enhance your sexual life. I mean, what could be better than that, right? Um,
Right. What is that about?
um, well, because we have to connect mind, body, and spirit. It's not just about, talking about these intellectual these coises, the I want to start saying coises intellectual, these intellectual aspects. We want to really feel them in a visceral level, right? And
Mhm.
it's one thing to hear, yeah, that sounds really good, Leanna. Yeah, I like that idea. But then, okay, let's now go feel it. Like, let's really feel it. So starting off, number one is breath, breathing, right? Learning how to breathe, learning how to move the energy, the breath through your body. So we do a number of different kinds of breathing techniques that not just once you practice, once you learn how to do it, but then I have them doing it through the entire six
Regularly.
weeks. And every week, when we connect, especially in the Q&A and also during the master classes, checking in, how is the breathing going? How do you feel? And at first the men, because I just finished this one group, they said, well, I did it a couple times. I kind of forgot. I said, no, let's do it every day. Pick a time of day, like really trying to bring it as a ritual into your life. After a couple of weeks, they started to feel incredible changes happening in their body.
Not
Most
just
of the time
sexual,
we're
right?
not just sexual, but there was that too, like just feeling more turned on generally. Because the other big aspect that's connected with that is ejaculation control. In order to take your sex life from, that kind of beginner stage, let's say, of penis and vagina, just penetration, which is all fun, which is important, very important, but
Right.
it's kind of like the stage here. We want to go to like level 10 here. Um, we have to elevate everything. We have to elevate it all, right? So we start with, what's the most important thing is breathing. And yes, we all breathe, of course, to live, you have to breathe, but most people are breathing just from the upper part of
Shallow.
their bodies, right? Shallow breath.
Mhm.
And your body, yeah, it's getting breath, but is it really getting like full breath? Are you feeding this bright breathing energy to your body, and then connecting to your sexual energy in your pelvis and moving the breath through your entire body? So now you're getting like this pelvic energy through your entire being, and practicing that. Now the 6 weeks have ended. I mean, these guys, things that have happened in their lives, like, it's amazing, it's incredible. Just
Which
not
is
just through
so
the breath,
cool.
because there's lots of other exercises, but this is the
Right.
first and one of the most important parts,
I
right?
love that because I think that, kind of back to what I do, I think breath is what really connects everything. And when I also teach a little bit of this, like how do you activate your own sexual energy, right? And the
Hmm.
first and foremost the most important step is breath, right? Because um, whether you work with men or women, we often think that it's the other's responsibility to turn us on, right? Like,
Your
oh,
fault.
my husband is not, yeah, exactly, it's your fault. You're not, but in reality, like the sexual energy is yours to own, and that vitality has to arise within you first. And that's something that we really do not have any training, any education, even knowledge about, right? And so I
Hmm.
really appreciate and respect that, because once you feel that within you, then not only does it make you more, like you said, aroused, but it also just makes you more energized and healthy and well. And I think that's when you really make that connection between, like health and wellness includes sexuality. Sex life is really important. And so I love that. And actually it's something, if you're teaching that, then you're helping people not just go from knowledge to practice, right? Because it's one thing that they're like, they learn all these amazing things and then they never practice, but if
No,
they start feeling it, it's like they're much more likely to do it, right? So
I want them to come out of the program like transformed completely. And
transformed.
they
Yeah.
have, they've come out transformed within their sex lives, absolutely, and transformed in other parts of their life because suddenly their bodies are more alive, their bodies are more awakened, right? They're vibrating at higher levels. They've been practicing ejaculation control, and that has affected their entire being as well. They feel
Yeah.
more powerful, they feel more confident. We do exercises around the dark masculine, so they feel more grounded, they feel more present with their partners, but also in their lives. So it's just
Yeah,
been phenomenal.
can you talk a little about that? Like, what is the number one misconception that men have about women? And does it have to do with ejaculation control? Um, or
Well, I mean, the
what are some of the
ejaculation
things that
control is really about elevating their sex life, right? And so
okay.
they wonder why their wife is not, or their partner, their lover, whoever is not having orgasms like they hear, multi-orgasmic women, all of this. Why, how come, what is wrong with her? Why is she not having orgasms? And they don't really understand that, they need to remain erect for a long time in order for her to get warmed up enough in order, she has to like open, her body has to open, she has to fall into that, she has to really feel it. There's so much, like I describe it like this because I think, there's just so many elements around what the feminine needs in order to get really warmed up before she hits those states of orgasm. But I have this visual of if you were to take a big pot of water, cold water, right, and you're going to put it on an element and you turn that on, that's the feminine, the water, the cold water is her. And she is not going to be ready until that is hot and boiling. You have to take that water up to the boiling point. So if you think of the woman as water, which women are sort of that water element, and think about, you have to rise her temperature to boiling. She has to be, and I teach them about this, she has to be begging you. You want her to be begging you, because if she's begging you to penetrate her, because this before was just like, penetrate, then she should have an orgasm. No, she should be
That's the
begging
worst.
you,
Yeah.
because she's begging you because she is now open and ready to fully,
Ready.
fully, fully, fully receive you. And when she can do that, orgasms are just going to come naturally. The other
Yeah,
important thing about this aspect
absolutely.
of the kind of um lower level, like mechanical kind of sex, is that they're chasing orgasm, right? Like, did you have an orgasm? Did you have an orgasm? Are you done
Oh
yet? Did
yeah,
you,
that's
So if we take that right off the table, don't even go there. You don't want to chase orgasm at all. Orgasm has to
oh.
happen without any pressure. And if it's just happening because you are connecting so much in a deeper level, you're feeling each other's bodies, you're present with, the orgasm will come. It will come.
Well,
You
and plus,
never
like for
want to chase
women,
orgasm.
it's like it's a whole body experience too. So I think men don't understand that sometimes, even, like obviously, like orgasms are need to be like women need to be having more orgasm. That's a fact, because we because of this misunderstanding that, women can have an orgasm in like the 7 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes that men are trained to be having sex. And most women don't, but like even women don't understand that they need more time, right? They just think like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm just not, something is wrong with me, or but uh even there, I think we don't understand that like the woman's whole body is erogenous, right? So like
exactly.
focusing only on the orgasm makes you lose all the different possibilities and opportunities to turn the woman on, and for her to have like, there's like even like the just stimulating the breast can be an orgasmic experience itself, right?
Exactly.
So
Nipplegasm,
yeah,
breastgasm,
there's
neckgasm,
so
lipgasm.
many possibilities. And there are some people that have issues with the actual sexual organs. So, and then they preclude themselves from having a good sex life because they think now it's
Hmm.
over, right? And so I think that's what I love also what you do is like there's so many things that people miss. It's like 90% of the sexual experiences are kind of uh yeah, it's like forgotten about. So, but you were talking about
Yeah.
like the me, the she, and the we. Is that how that's like?
The
Can you
me,
tell
the me, you,
me,
us.
you? Okay,
Me,
can you?
you, us. Simple formula, right? Me, you, us, but so, so important. So, you have to first tap into the me. Get the me working. Get the me,
Yeah,
get connected to the me. Really get connected to the me so that so this is what we do, like, so that they're feeling their bodies, they're feeling sensations. Like the first time we were doing the breath with one of the guys and we were talking about the breathing, I mean, he said, I can't feel my legs at all. Like I can't feel my legs at all.
wow,
And so, then I talked about, okay, so start visualizing the breath going into your legs. And so he was really cut off from energy moving through his body, right?
crazy.
So it's like really tapping into all the sensations of your own body, tapping into your own power, tapping into your own confidence, understanding your own sexual desires, getting the work done here first. And then the you is your partner, your lover. So then you can start to radiate your authentic energy towards your partner. Like, this is me. Okay. Now I want to see, who are you? Let me see you. And talking about men specifically, as they step into that authenticity, women will just naturally fall into their feminine. There's something about a man that can step in a room, who's got that power, who's got that grace, who's got that confidence, who's got that, kind of sexual feel, but not
Sex
aggressive in
appeal.
any
Yeah,
way.
not a
Just
yeah, yeah,
like, I own my sexuality, like I own it, and that's who I
yeah.
am. And and then just women are just like, you just like melt. You just feel like
We
butter. And so this is
yeah,
also why I wanted to work with men, because working with women, it also helps men kind of step into their energy, but they need more of that power to be able to, because men are about the space holders, right? For the wild feminine to swirl around and to like be in her pleasure. Men are the visual, like men like the visual, right? They like to see their woman in deep pleasure, like to see the beautiful feminine. And for them to do that and see it and feel it, they have to be really present in their own bodies. And she has to be able to feel their presence, their desire, like penetrating her whole being.
yep.
And then she can like, she'll just feel it, like, without even
That's
having to do
that's
anything.
such
Women will
key and
feel it.
misun
Yeah,
that's
your
such key
partner will feel it.
misunderstanding. It's like a woman gets turned on when the man desires her. Like that's something that I think is really poorly misunderstood. Like yes, there it works other ways too, but that yeah, that aspect of like when you feel desired, you really just like you said, like you melt and you like really open up and
You've been
I
okay.
think it's
You've
like
lived in Brazil. When the Brazilian, okay, they're not they have their own problems in Brazil, of course.
they
But
do, but that they have
but have
the
you ever
sex
had one of
appeal.
the Brazilian man like kiss your hand? Like, how did you have
Oh
probably
my
had that
God,
happen to
yeah.
you?
Yeah,
The first time
absolutely.
it
Like
happened
on
to
the
me, I was just
street
like,
randomly,
what
right?
the hell is this? I mean, I would have
Yeah.
like, where do you want to go? Like, it was just so,
Yeah.
like, just
I
just
miss that. And
absolutely adoring the feminine. Like, they just
yeah.
just like in honor, like in just like the feminine. And
Yeah.
it's
I
not
miss
that we
that.
want
And like
men to.
here you don't have that. at all,
You
you
don't
know?
want,
And
you don't need men bowing at you and being lower than you. Not at all. We don't want that at all. The feminine wants their man to be powerful, to be honest, to be truthful, to be centered, but then like
but
just adoring her, adoring the feminine, because the feminine gives the masculine power, the masculine gives the feminine power. This is yin
yeah.
and yang, these have to
And
work together.
and you adore it only when you have a full connection to your own body. And that's another thing that I like find it very present in like in Brazilian men, and like it's just like they're just there with their bodies and they're totally comfortable with it, right? And
Yeah.
they're not ashamed of it, or they don't have to perform, right? It's like
They're not afraid of the feminine.
it's just
They really are not
and they're not afraid
afraid
of
of,
feminine, right?
they're not afraid
Yeah.
of the feminine. They're not afraid of their own feminine
Yeah.
energy, right? So they're just like on another level. They have their own things that they have to work out
Oh,
yet. Still, of
absolutely,
course,
absolutely.
the education around sexuality, doesn't really exist here. But there is that element that they have, which is very different than North American men, where they do own their masculinity in a very powerful way, and they revere the feminine. You know, so that just makes a huge difference right there.
Absolutely.
So like
And
we have
what's
the
the
me, the
us?
you, and the us is then you
Yeah.
coming together in the relationship, right? So both of you have
Why is that
stepped into your own.
important?
It's important because now you're going to go on this dance together, right? And the dance might be where you have a little bit of one lead, the masculine leading, like there's that word of the dominant, but not a dominant in like uh, an overtaking kind of role, but a dominant in a leading role. In a, like, again, I always say this with the masculine is the space holder. So just imagine like holding you in whatever you need to do as the feminine, and the feminine
Right.
taking the role in the surrender and into the like the deep love, and the masculine is this consciousness and the space holder. So when you have these two dancing, she can drop into relaxing her body more, and that will enable her to have more orgasm. She can drop into her wildness, because women are the emotions that run through. Women are the spirals and the spontaneity, and
The snake,
they
right? The
the
Kundalini.
snake, yeah, and women feel so much better and can feel so much more alive in that energy when they have somebody holding the space for them fully, right,
Not
to
only
say
that,
go babe go.
that's the only time when you truly have the potential of achieving that tantric kind of sex, or like the
Yeah,
conscious, right? Where because
exactly.
it's like if you are fully when you're able to like fully let go, and that only happens when the man fully like it's kind of like both ends. Like he has to make you feel comfortable, but he also has to have that power, like we talked about, right?
Yeah,
And when you're able to combine those elements, and the woman can fully surrender and relax, like you go way out there, don't even know where you are, right? So that's
exactly.
what we want, and like that's
Yeah,
it's so
it's the
seems
sexual
so hard
dimension.
to it's a sexual
The
dimension, but it's also
sexual
like the
dimension.
divine dimension. Like it's just like for me,
Divine
it's
dimension.
completely merges. And unfortunately, a lot
Yeah,
of times we only think of the sexual and like the physical dimension, which is fun, but it's like it just stays at that level and then it gets old. So
yeah,
like so
yeah. It's a
so I love
portal,
that you
it's a
teach that
portal. Yeah, you can like this exploration within that sexual dimension, let's say, it just never ends. There's always more to explore, as in you transcend into other realities, into other spiritual realms, and you just lose like, all the concept of time and space reality, and you're gone, and it's just like you can go into I've gone into past lives with partners,
oh,
just
absolutely. Yeah.
experiencing all sorts of different kinds of things within that connection between the masculine and feminine, right? And it can be
So
it can
beautiful.
be a it can be a, it can be a dance too, where maybe the feminine takes on the masculine role and the masculine becomes the feminine, when you get really comfortable with this
Yeah.
dynamic. You can play back and forth, one taking over of the other, so both have the opportunity to surrender into their bodies and into the experience. So these are like high
Absolutely.
high levels of conversation, and we get into some of this as well, depending, like, where the group wants to go as well, and what they're ready for. But I want to get these guys out, elevated from what they're just sort
The
of the beginner
mundane,
stages of sexuality.
mundane
The
sex.
mundane, yeah, the mundane sex.
Yeah.
They're bored of it. Their partners are bored of it. I'm working with men that are, I'll work with men at any age, but most of the
Yeah,
men are between like,
what are the type of men that should,
yeah, it's
like
men that
you're
are that
inviting?
have been in men that have been in long-term relationships or are in a long-term relationship, and it's just like it's time to up level this life of mine. It's
Right.
time to have a much deeper connection with my partner. It's not been working. Maybe they haven't had sex for a long time. One of the guys in my programs actually has been working on himself for a while, and he has good sex with his partner, but he knows that there was more that he has to understand and learn in order to really up level it even more. And he had one of the most incredible sexual experiences with his partner that he has ever had during this program. So
Wow.
it's amazing.
That's
It's amazing.
priceless.
And on top of that, just other experiences he had
Right.
in his life because he was able to step into that that core element of himself. And what you do is really you expand who you are as a human being. You're expanding the different the dimensions of yourself. We tend to say, okay, this is who I am. Think, 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 think. I'm going to stay here, and I'm too scared to go over here or anywhere else. But I'm just saying, like, let's stretch let's stretch you into like, who are you as this sexual being? Who are you as this powerful man? Who are you as this deeply loving being? And that's what they're feeling. That's what they're feeling. So I'm really, really
Amazing.
excited by this program. I think
I'm
it's
excited about this too. Like if you're helping men reach these levels of, self-awareness and also bringing more joy to, to their partners. Like we really need this in the world and thank God there are people like you doing this. So on my end, I really appreciate it. I will share this invitation with men that I know for sure.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
is
Yeah,
there
share it around.
yeah, is there anything else that you want to say? And and like what are like one aspect that you really, really are passionate about, or what are men gonna walk out with that's really transformative? Um,
Well, oh my God. Well, you know, I just see the faces and the energy of the men that walked in from Masterclass 1 to the Masterclass 6,
yeah,
and it's just totally different. It's just totally different. Because they are doing these exercises for 6 weeks, variety of different exercises. They are thinking about things. They are writing things. They are, experimenting with things within their own life. At the end of the 6 week, I don't like they just came out like, you see people sitting kind of like this. These guys were like, okay, just like meow, like the whole body being had changed. And they
amazing.
were so excited. Like I know it's a lot of material as well that they learn, and it takes more than just 6 weeks. I mean, you have to decide, like, I'm making a lifestyle change here.
Of
And
course.
they have decided this. They both at the end, we kind of talk about mission and core values, and they're working at that as we go through and as they learn new things. At the end, they both said that they want to be sexual explorers. And that's not
Wow,
something that they had even thought about in the beginning.
that's
So I
amazing.
just like, yay.
Yeah, because you open up a whole new world for people, and
Yeah.
that's
They're just
just
like,
priceless.
what?
That's beautiful,
I
right?
didn't
We
know
don't even,
this. Like,
when we start, we don't even know what's possible, right? Because we don't learn about it. And then what I really, really appreciate about everything that you do, but especially this program, is that you're giving a safe space and a really a space also where anything is possible, to learn, to play, to experiment, and to ask questions, right? To really
yeah.
um to
And I
learn
know,
with each other and create that space for each other. So it's so, so important. And
yeah,
yeah,
thank you. Thank you. And I know
yeah,
one guy was saying, well, Liana, you're a woman. How are you going to be able to teach about, sex to men? And, valid. Okay. But I bring on, I mean, because I've had a lot of experience with men, one, two, I bring that. And two, I am a woman who has had a lot of experience with men, and I have a lot of experience sexually and has a lot of experience teaching with couples. And I bring so much information, so much experience to the table that, I can help you understand the feminine aspect as well. I understand the masculine. I've played in the masculine myself as well, and played in the feminine in a very, very deep way. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of connection with these energies, and for me, the energy is what it's all about. It's the essence of connecting to the energy. Like, it's not just like you said earlier, it's not the performance. It's what is your energy, and how are you going to grow that energy so that you're stepping fully into more of who you are, accepting who you are. A lot of men complain about their confidence level. I don't have confidence to tell my partner. I don't have confidence to reveal who I really am. I don't have confidence, just holding it and holding it, holding, and then, like,
Yeah.
constricting illnesses start to come through because now your physical is responding. And I want to help, like, okay, let's bring that confidence back in, because that's what makes
Well,
the
that's
change. That's what heals it.
that's what I was gonna say too in closing, that it's like I think it's really when you teach and give people space in their sexual growth, right? They realize that it really penetrates all the other areas of your life and really expands
Yeah.
other areas of your life. Like I've worked with clients, mostly women, but it applies to anyone, right? Like, we'll work on something that's like completely unrelated to sexuality, like let's say like your relationship to food or something that they're struggling with weight. And inevitably, there's always a connection to sexuality. And when we do work on that, somehow it helps resolve all the other problems. So I think, like, self-confidence is something like if you're working on it uh, directly without addressing sexuality, you're not going to get that far. But the fact that you're bringing in sexuality like that, because it's energetic, right? So when you expand into that energy, it really transforms all areas of your life. So I'm really excited about
It's a
this.
core. It's our core, right? It's our life
Yeah,
force energy.
it's
We
our
we
life
have
force.
sex to
That's
create babies. Literally, that's
yeah.
where it starts. You are using your life force energy, your sexual energy, to create a baby, men and women. So then what happens to it? Nothing. So it's still there, though. Still there. So that's what I want. That's
Let's
what we're
make
we're
good use of
accessing.
it. Let's make good
Make
use
good
of it,
use of
right?
it, yes, and help
Okay.
heal, like, our entire
Yeah,
lives, basically, right? And
absolutely.
when you're having
Absolutely.
good sex, when you're feeling really connected to your partner, I mean, you just feel so much better in every aspect of your life. You just feel so much more joy.
100%.
You just feel love so much more. You just, everything just feels like, oh, work, yes, oh, love work, love this, love that, because you're just feeling inside like just so good, right? So that's that's
Yeah.
that's big reason why I'm doing this as well, and why I just don't stop. I haven't stopped. I
Well,
haven't stopped
please,
yet.
please don't. And I'm really excited for this group of men that's going to join. So run, get your, spots reserved because I'm sure it's a,
Hmm.
you have a limited number. When is the program starting so that people can
This
get their
this
spots
next
reserved
round is
soon?
April the 10th, like next week already. It
Amazing.
is it is a small group that I'm working with right now. I don't want to take more than 10 people at this point. I just want a small, intimate. I'm saying VIP group because it is like a VIP program. It's all done live with me, and yeah, this is how I'm starting it. And so get in now while you can be here for the lives, because I think as it builds, it'll transform. It'll transform, in the way that I offer it. And but it will always be like this. It will always be very, very powerful, because as I do it, I'm gaining, momentum myself, and gaining knowledge myself about what's really going on out there. Yeah.
Well, hopefully things will start shifting with what's going out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
they will. They
both
are.
yeah, and we can all discover like an expanded version of ourselves. So thank you, Liana, for doing this work. It's a pleasure to be here, and I really hope that to see you in the near future in all of your amazing programs and connect soon on your channel.
Thank you so much, Bella. I really appreciate you so much. I appreciate the amazing work that you're doing over there in Miami, which is what is absolutely necessary to have, be happening right now. like this deep work in pleasure and pleasure with our bodies and pleasure with our lives. And so thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me about Empower. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I love the
Thank
name. It's a really cool name.
you. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.